If you've never had a healthy romantic relationship before and you grew up in a home with emotionally unavailable caregivers, not only do you probably not know what a healthy relationship is, your body doesn't know what a safe, healthy relationship feels like. You can read and talk and think about improving your relationships, but nothing will permanently change for you until you embody that healthy relationship inside of yourself by developing a kinesthetic, felt sense of a healthy relationship that you can then maintain as your standard when you're dating and discerning others. I'll teach you this process of embodiment today so your inner discernment doesn't just come from knowing in your head who is and isn't right for you, but from feeling it deeply in your body so that you don't even think twice when it comes to saying no to the wrong partners, which means naturally over time you will move into a relationship with the right person. Like my client Kim, who was stuck on an emotionally unavailable guy for over 2 years. Once she learned this skill, she was able to let go of the emotional ties that were causing her to be stuck only loving emotionally unavailable men. And she was able to trust her discernment, which led to her meeting and marrying the man of her dreams. And if you want help doing this, this is the work that I do with my clients inside Heal Your Heart School. You can book a free consultation call with me in the link below. Now, emotional unavailability is the connection to and acceptance of all parts of yourself. Your relationship to yourself is open, it's healthy, accepting, it's loving and compassionate, which is what self-love is, right? And inside your body, you feel grounded and connected to yourself and connected to others. And your nervous system is flexible and responsive to any stresses that arise, any breaks in connection like ruptures, and repair is something you naturally move towards because connection is seen as both important and safe for you. When you're emotionally available, you have a secure attachment to yourself, right? The mirror you have with your internal self is clean and clear, largely, and you have this sense of internal co-regulation. You can feel safe and grounded in your body, in your skin, without the presence of others. As opposed to when you're emotionally unavailable, which is where there are parts of you operating inside unconsciously that create the patterns and behaviors in your life that block your ability to healthily connect to yourself and others. And those unconscious parts are shadows. They're sites and energy of trauma, like memories from childhood of not feeling seen, loved, heard, and understood. Perhaps you had emotionally unavailable caregivers or a dysfunctional childhood home and just no healthy model for relationship. And so relationships naturally cause you anxiety because of this trauma. Relationships also cause you to feel unsafe in your body because you naturally didn't feel safe in your earliest relationships and you don't know what a safe, healthy, loving relationship feels like. And now romantic relationships activate you into a fight-flight response. Even though you think you're experiencing love, right? Anxious attachment, anxiety, that's your body actually thinking you're in fight-flight. So when you're emotionally unavailable or have insecure attachment with yourself, your mirror to your internal self is distorted and fragmented by this attachment trauma inside of you. There's no internal co-regulation within you. You don't feel safe within your body, within yourself, and you're wired to seek safety externally from other sources, largely from the same unhealthy relationships that feel familiar to the ones from your childhood. And you stay in this state of dysregulation because you don't know any different. Now, you might have all other areas of your life going great. Your friendships, your colleagues, your work is great. But when it comes to romantic relationships, those mirror fragments and the relationship blueprint you learned from when you were a child gets activated when there is a romantic partner on the scene. It's not activated around your friends or other areas of your life, but in romantic relationships, this kind of dysregulation leads you to self-abandoning behaviors where you will naturally do whatever it takes to feel connection, to feel a sense of safety with others because you lack that feeling within yourself. So you become externally focused in romantic relationships. You're always obsessing or overthinking. Maybe you have love addiction or limerence, or you're anxious about your next encounter, or you have full-blown anxious attachment or codependent behaviors because you're lacking this internal anchor. So in order to be emotionally available and feel safe in relationship, we need to have an internal anchor within us and foster safe, secure attachments in our friendships around us, so that our body can learn that even the most intimate of relationships can be safe. And ultimately, we can learn this in the container of a healthy romantic relationship, but there is a lot we can do before we even meet our partner. Today, I'll teach you how to start this process within you so you can grow this internal anchor and embody a healthy relationship, which will also help you create even more secure and emotionally intimate attachments in your life, whether it's friendships, romantic partners, or other relationships. So the first step you need to learn is to learn safety in the body. And we talk a lot about safety on this channel, but in the context of being emotionally available, this is more than simply feeling relaxed in your body or down-regulating your emotions or doing deep breathing or breath work or self-soothing skills. You actually need to train your nervous system to have flexibility. And this is the ability for your nervous system to complete the stress response in a flexible and timely manner, the way that it is designed to do. So our nervous system is designed to naturally respond to any attachment stresses like a rupture in relationship or uncertainty in relationship by shifting between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic states in a relatively easeful manner. So say you have an argument or rupture with someone you've just started dating and you go into the sympathetic fight-flight response. It's stressful, and because you've got this anchor within you, you know how to naturally settle yourself to dissipate the stress in your body so that you go into the parasympathetic state and navigate the waters of conflict in early dating stages with that person. Dogs naturally know how to do this. You'll see them when they get stressed and then they shake it off and they settle back down into the parasympathetic. They're just learning how to reset their state, and they do this very naturally. You also do this very naturally as well. This is something your nervous system knows how to do, and you don't consciously do it. And it would also do this in relationship, except for the fact that you've had past attachment trauma, and that causes your nervous system to act differently when it comes to an attachment with a romantic partner. It mimics the original stresses you had with your primary caregivers, and you'll actually interpret potential love interests in this same way. So your nervous system perceives that they're a threat, even though you are cognitively thinking that this is love, right? If you have anxious attachment and you're instantly going into anxiety around someone, that is your nervous system perceiving that there is a threat and there is danger, and it's going to start acting in a clunky way and get stuck in the position of on and stress. And because of all these experiences you've had that have felt unsafe in relationships, your nervous system does not know how to healthily dissipate the stress and the attachment stress and comfortably move into the parasympathetic state. Instead, it just gets worse. It gets to the point where there's overload and it plummets down into shutdown and freeze. Now, an example of this kind of behavior looks like an initial stage of activation and then fawning, or an anxious attachment or obsession over a romantic partner, or over attaching too soon. Remember, they're not signs of love, but signs of past trauma affecting the way that you attach now. And then you go into this shutdown or freeze or dissociation around that person, which looks like you going into fantasy thinking about them, or being in denial about who they are, or going into a dissociative state or depression. What's missing for you when relationships have always been unhealthy is your ability to connect internally to your experience and self-attune to what's going on with you, so that you know how you're feeling and can meet your needs in order to get back to safety and have that flexibility in your nervous system. So nervous system flexibility can be cultivated by learning self-attunement, which is having an awareness of your internal experience before you go into any kind of unconscious state. So when you notice you start to feel anxious or uncertain, or you're overthinking, you connect to the experience in your body based on your past experience of being able to soothe yourself when you're stressed. And that's when you use the self-soothing or regulation skills to bring your body back into the parasympathetic state. That's what someone with secure attachment naturally knows how to do, rather than that clunky state where you go unconscious and just run those patterns and switch between fight, flight, and freeze. When you get stuck stuck in the on position and you're continuing to pursue this person, over attaching, obsessing, and then plummeting down into disassociation, fantasy bonding, or falling in love with someone who isn't actually the person they are, that disassociation has led you to actually project onto them someone that they're not. So once you increase safety in your body and relationship, you will have a more secure base within you to develop flexibility in the nervous system and discernment about who you attach to, because you're not attaching to them through this trauma, but rather from a healthy, regulated state. Step 2 is to create this internal secure attachment, right? This is the mirror that you have to yourself, your relationship to yourself. So instead of looking outside of yourself for attachment and security and validation and love, you now need to learn to primarily get that from yourself. You also deserve to receive that from your partner as well, but you've got to establish at the same time this internal connection. And the only way to do this, if you've had trauma in your romantic relationships and in your early childhood, and when I say trauma, this can include really subtle emotional misattunement all the way to significant abandonment, is that you need to repair the relationship you have with all parts of yourself. Now, what do I mean by parts? We talk about parts a lot on this channel. We have parts within us that come up in response to our experiences in childhood. So for example, if you did experience caregivers that weren't able to emotionally attune to you and meet your emotional needs, or if they outright abandoned you in some way, you will have a wounded inner child within you who feels abandoned in relationship. She also feels abandoned by you because you always choose the wrong kinds of partners for you. And the original abandonment comes from your parents and the experiences you had when you were young. You'll also have a strong inner critic. This is the part of you that protects you by keeping you hypervigilant and self-critical so that you can stay in control in an uncontrollable environment, and so that you can stop potentially hurtful things happening to you, which was a good thing when you were young, but now keeps you from healthy states like self-compassion and self-love. And there are a host of other parts within you at varying ages and stages that exist from memories and moments in your life where your needs went largely unmet. And those parts need to feel seen, heard, understood, and loved by you. And it's up to you to give them what they didn't get when they were a child. The way that I teach this self-repair is through a tool called RAIN. This is a nonverbal practice. I'm going to go through it briefly verbally with you now so that you can start using it today. So step 1 in RAIN is to recognize. I want you to recognize the presence of a part when it's coming up. If you're feeling grief or sadness, it's going to be your wounded inner child. If you're being really self-critical and really harsh throughout the week, your inner critic is showing up. I want you to recognize that part, and the second step is to allow that part to be inside of you. Instead of what we normally do, which is pushing it down and trying to move it out of the way, we actually want to allow it to speak, because remember, these sites of our original trauma exist because they didn't feel seen, heard, loved, and understood by your parents or by whoever was there in the moment of the trauma. So we now need to do that for them. So just allow yourself to listen to what your inner critic has to say, what your wounded inner child has to say. And as you listen and really allow yourself to understand why they think they're doing what they're doing, I want you to investigate the third step in your body, what you're feeling somatically when you're getting in touch with this part. Because what often happens emotionally is when we experience some kind of complex trauma, some kind of abandonment trauma, that trauma gets stuck in our body somewhere. And that's why you can spend years in talk therapy and reading books and watching videos, and you'll never actually move the needle on your healing journey, because the energy that causes these patterns lives in your body. So we now need to investigate in your body where that is. So as you're allowing your part to speak, notice what's lighting up in your body. Are you feeling tension in your throat? Or are you feeling a pain in your chest? Or a dull, heavy weight in your gut? Connect to those parts as well. Investigate with them what it is they're holding on to, what they need to feel safe, what they need to feel loved. And that is going to allow you to even further connect to this part that is running these patterns for you. And the last step of RAIN is to nurture this part. It's to love on this part. And the way I like to teach this is to imagine this part is a very young, scared, naive part within you, because It actually is. Developmentally, it would have started when you were very, very young, pre-verbally most of the time. And we want to love on this part as if it were a small child that just simply needs love. It needs a hug. It needs to feel safe. It needs to be taken out of whatever traumatic memory or incident that happened and be connected to and loved and reparented by you. So imagine your inner critic as a small little girl trying to bolster herself up and save the day, but she just doesn't need to do that anymore. And in the RAIN practice, by nurturing on her and loving her, often those parts will feel seen, heard, and loved enough to let go of the energy because they have developed some level of trust with you. Practice this process, allow yourself time to go through the RAIN, and eventually you will develop trust with your parts. Now, once you've started to repair your relationship to the parts within you through RAIN, you can then move into step 3, which is the embodiment piece. Now that you have a groundwork of safety in your body and flexibility in your nervous system to handle stresses in relationship, and you're more securely attached to yourself, you can now create an internal kinesthetic felt sense of healthy relationship inside of you before you've even gone into a healthy relationship. So when you were repairing your relationship to yourself, to your parts during RAIN, you developed safety and love in that relationship to that part of yourself, particularly in the end step when you were nurturing, to your inner critic, to your wounded inner child, to all of those parts. So when you notice somatically where those feelings live in your body, there will be those non-verbal signals in your body that you're feeling loved or that you're feeling safe. It might show up as warmth in your chest, or lightness in your stomach, or a sense of expansion in the body, and sometimes I feel like a downward tingling movement in my back. You're now going to practice something called sensory embodiment of safety and love in your body in relation to a potential partner. So I want you to now sense that your partner is present with you, perhaps sitting next to you, and sense that same safety and love you gave yourself during RAIN, and hold your attention on this sensation, imagining your partner is sitting next to you and you are feeling that with your partner sitting with you, and let yourself really feel it for about 30 seconds so you can anchor this feeling in your body. While you do this, track your nervous system and notice how it feels in proximity to a romantic partner, right? Is it getting a little bit activated, or is it calming down? Can you stay with these sensations of love and safety and calmness and allow your nervous system to down-regulate and come back into the parasympathetic state whilst you're with your partner, so that you can feel that safety and that love in their presence of even just an imaginary partner sitting next to you. It might sound crazy, and if you're just watching this and haven't done it, just trust me, give it a go, because chances are if you have attachment trauma, even imagining a partner that loves you next to you is going to feel unsafe and you will get activated. So the way to embody this is to use the safety and love you already have in your body and to anchor that in with this imaginary partner. Now we're going to continue our sensory embodiment through somatic hearing. So using your hearing sense, I want you to imagine the voice of your partner soothing you, telling you things are going to be okay. They're comforting you, telling you they love you, telling you how wonderful you are, how much they enjoy all of your quirks and flaws. Really slow it down and imagine their voice saying those things. Whatever voice you want, you get to choose, saying those words. And as you're hearing it, notice in your body where you're feeling safety and love. This is the safety and love we've already cultivated, and we want to track our nervous system again and notice, are we getting activated a bit by someone being so close to us and telling us they love us? Like I said, it's normal to get activated when you're emotionally unavailable. So stay with that feeling, feel that safety and love in your body until you notice your nervous system goes back down into the parasympathetic, which will either look like a sigh or a yawn or just a feeling of deepening relaxation. So we're going to do the same now with somatic touch, using your hand as if it's your partner's hand, placing your hand on your arm or chest or hand, wherever you like, and just feel the energy from their hand, receiving their supportiveness, their kindness, that intention of their love. Anchor in the body again how you feel, spending 30 seconds really noticing and meeting that touch with the safety and love that you've already cultivated in your body. All right, so these are really specific ways we can use our internal secure attachment to then embody somatic sensations in the presence of a partner that we're imagining. Now, obviously, the experience of being in a space with someone who is a potential romantic partner is different from an imaginary person, because we'll then have two nervous systems, two bodies co-regulating in some way with another. So another excellent way to titrate or gradually increase your connection to a potential partner in order to allow the nervous system to keep regulating well is to use external secure attachments to reinforce this safety and love. And what I mean by this is just from other people, safe, secure friendships that you have, or perhaps family members, or perhaps a therapist or a coach. Spend time with these people and really allow yourself to receive and notice in your body where you feel safety and love and secure connection with them. Even go so far as to allowing yourself to accept compliments or help or gestures from others that you might not know, right? Like strangers offering help at the grocery store, or gestures of kindness from a colleague. When this happens, slow your experience down and really receive the gesture. Notice how it feels in your body as you allow yourself to receive it and track the safety that you feel around someone else. These experiences are all going to imprint on your nervous system. If you're interacting with another nervous system, another body where there is that moment of safety, that is going to anchor into your body that relationships are safe, and you can then gradually move into feeling this kind of safety with potential partners. Now, ideally, our goal is to then attract a healthy relationship. And the wonderful thing about this process is that we're actually shifting and changing our internal energy, which will naturally start to draw out and attract more healthy partners to you as you do this. But you will still come across and attract unhealthy partners that may or may not trigger you in those old ways that would have previously caused your nervous system to get stuck on and then dump down into freeze. But if you've cultivated these internal feelings of safety and love enough in your body, those old energies from trauma will either not be there, or if they get triggered, they will feel like a foreign energy in your body. Like I always say to me, it feels like a rotting piece of fruit in my stomach. I just can't handle it. I get gassy, I feel nauseous. It is just so unpleasant to experience that I immediately associate that person with this internal discomfort, and they are not attractive to me. As opposed to before, when that trauma bonding was attractive because it was all that you knew from childhood and you were drawn to that, you've actually now rewired your body's somatic experience to know that when that's happening and to be averse to it. So when you go out and start dating and discerning whether someone is right for you, you're going to practice the exact same principles. You're going to notice how you feel in your body around this person. You're not training your body to feel safety and love around just anyone. We've already anchored in and established that. You're just simply now noticing what your somatic experience is around them. And that's going to give you enough data to know whether this person is right for you or not, because your body, without trauma or less trauma in control, is incredibly intelligent and can pick up on the slightest red flag. You were picking up on red flags before, but your trauma was causing you to override it and to place more importance on connection with them. But now those red flags are going to seem like huge warning signs that will be such a risk to the safety and love that you feel in the secure attachment you have with yourself and with your other friends and network. And there will be no way that you don't miss it and don't do anything about it. And I notice from my experience now dating in this way that when you have this level of subtle discernment, 99.9% of people will be a no. You may have in the past said yes to just about anyone coming along because you didn't have these internal discernment skills to know who is and isn't compatible for you. But once you start to date in this healthy way, dating becomes pretty straightforward because it's just a series of no's until there is a yes. And you can be absolutely certain that that yes, when you feel it in your body, it is right, and your body lights up and you've really identified a healthy person for you. Now, if you want to learn more about these skills and need help with this kind of discernment, this is the work that I teach my clients inside Heal Your Heart School, and I'd love to speak with you about how I could help you. So apply for a free consultation call with me by clicking the link below. In the meantime, here are some next step videos for you to watch so you can move one step closer to having a beautifully healthy relationship with yourself and with others. And for now, I'll see you in the next video.